Hello students, good morning. Here in this video, we are going to cover the topic diachronic and synchronic approaches for studying language. So let us see what is this. In linguistics, diachronic and synchronic approaches represent two different ways of studying language. So we should know that there are two ways of studying language, which are diachronic and synchronic approaches. Okay, now these two concepts were popularized by Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure, right? So this idea is given by a Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure. Okay, what he says for synchronic linguistics, what is this? The synchronic approach studies a language at a single point in time. Means when we study language at a single point in time, means we just study language that at present many short terms you young generation have coined many short terms for you as this is as early as possible, right? For you lolo lol, right? So these, suppose, so if you want to learn English, means you should be familiar with all these kind of acronym as well or short terms. Why? Because then only you'll be able to understand young generations language. Or suppose you are studying English, so that in English it's very frequent and very common terms, right? So you have to be familiar with all kind of these language or abbreviations and all. So suppose single point of time means at present what's going on, you're studying that language without considering of its historical development, without considering. You don't want to discuss that's a what's a history and how English language is developed. So that attitude or approach is called synchronic. Synchronic means at present what's going at particular period. Suppose you want to study of Middle English, so then you don't bother about modern English. Your focus will be on Middle English, that 16th 17th century what's English was used and something like this. Okay, it is like taking a snapshot of a language. So when you do study synchronic linguistics, means just snapshot of language very quickly at that time what's going on, you are studying about the same. The goal is to describe how the different parts of language, right? So different parts of language means grammar, right? Vocabulary. So you just have to describe different parts of language. Its sound, phonology, right? Word forms, morphology, and sentence structure, syntax. Function and relate to each other at a specific moment. This is known as descriptive language. No, first of all, I am telling you that when we do very snapshot means we take snapshot of a language, that approach is called synchronic. The goal is to that is synchronic. Now that is synchronic, And when we do study of a language, now the goal is to describe how the different parts of language, for example, phonology means study of sound, morphology means study of words, and syntax means sentence structure, right? When we discuss about at present what's the sound of that particular words, okay, then what new words have been invented or are used right now. For example, fantabulous. Fantabulous. Okay, so that fantabulous means that's a fantastic, fan, fantastic, and fabulous. Fabulous. So fantastic and fabulous is fantabulous. So suppose this is newly coined word. So here that is you just have to uh, study that what's the pronunciation and what's the morphology means, how this word is formed. So this word is formed with fantastic and fabulous. Fabulous. So it becomes fantabulous. Fantabulous. So that's a newly coined word. So suppose so this will be the part of morphology, right? How word is made and what's the sound of the word phonology and where to use that's a this is really very good or fantabulous performance. So that is the structure sentence say how to use, where to use. So function and relate to each other at a specific moment, right? So that's a that is called syntax when we study the function and their relation, function and relate to each other at a specific moment. This is also known as descriptive linguistics. Descriptive linguistics or synchronic. Synchronic, right? So both are same. Now example is for the synchronic study. A synchronic study might analyze the rules of English grammar, right? And word usage as they exist in 21st century, right? So for example, suppose you are doing synchronic study, so you must have analyzed rules of English grammar and word usage, fantabulous we have given and discussed as they exist in 21st century. So what's the words which exist in right now at present and you're studying for just you're studying English for like present English, for example, form of present English. So then you're going to study short forms and all, which are invented by youths generally for you as early as possible. I gave you example. So that is for Gen G, right? Gen G Gen Z has invented so many new words, new terms, and you suppose your topic is English of Gen Z. So then, what you will have to study the rules of English grammar, right? And at present, what's going on, and word usage, how words, different types of words are used at present, right? So now it would look at why we say I am going instead of I goes. Once upon a time, this format was used, but right now I am going is correct and describe the current use of pronouns like they as a singular gender neutral option, right? That is very important actually, where what they say that okay, and describe current usage of pronoun, right? current usage of pronoun like they as a singular gender neutral option. They is singular, they is singular gender neutral option. So this approach is called descriptive or synchronic linguistics we have studied. Now moving to next part is diachronic linguistics. The diachronic approach, also known as historical, right? Synchronic is also known as descriptive, and diachronic is also known as historical. So, historical linguistics examines how a language evolves over time, right? So, here how language evolves over time. For example, if you study Middle English, right? So, how Old English has become Middle English. So, that approach is called diachronic. It is like watching a movie of a language history. Suppose your uh, video, right? Video on, movie on, anything on uh, development of English language or history of English language. Suppose you're watching a movie on development of English language or development of Hindi language. Someone has made this movie or video and you're watching. Why? Because you want to know the different phases of English language. So, how Old English has become Middle English, what were the reasons? And then Middle English is modern, early modern English, and then late modern English, what's going on at present. That study, that approach is called diachronic approach. This approach stresses changes in sound. So what in this approach or in this study, you have to find out the sound, right? What's the uh, you will study about sound, that's about the sound of new words. What's the grammar right now we follow? Vocabulary, I had already given you example in the beginning. So vocabulary across different periods to understand how and why language change, right? So important thing is that how and why both, that you will study that uh, why thou becomes you, right? Why uh, doth becomes does, right? So how these words have been replaced, right? So this approach is called diachronic. A diachronic study would trace the changes in the pronunciation, why this word is pronounced like this from Old English to Middle English and then Modern English, right? This whole study is the part of diachronic linguistics. It would also look at how words like starve, right? Starve have changed their meaning over centuries, from to to die of hunger. So earlier, starve means to die, but by with the passage of time, meaning has been changed, and starve means to die of hunger, right? So this is the how this meaning has been changed. This approach is called diachronic study. So both approaches are valuable and complementary. Both the approaches are complementary. We do both. We do linguistics as of we do synchronic synchronic linguistics we study, and then diachronic as well. So while asynchronic analysis gives a clear picture of language's structure at one moment, right? Language structure at one moment. A diachronic analysis provides a historical context needed to understand why the language is the way it is, right? Why the language is the way it is means why this language has been changed. What was the great vowel shift? What was the invasions? Why, due to invasions, language changes? Uh, Engels, Saxons, and Jutes came. So this ways they brought dialects with them, and it was mixed in local language. They That's a Celtic or something. This is history of language, right? English language. So when we study this way, that is diachronic, and synchronic when you just study for particular time. So both the approaches are, this idea is given by Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure, right? And he has given two approaches: synchronic, which is also called that's a descriptive linguistics, and diachronic linguistics, also called historical linguistics. So you just you should know the difference between synchronic and diachronic. Synchronic is particular for particular time, study of language of particular time, and diachronic is the language which is the history of language. When we read the what's the history of language, so both the examples are very good examples are given here. One is just a snapshot of a language, right? When you just take a snapshot of a language, right? That is called that is that is the when we take a snapshot of a language, right? So that is called synchronic. And when we watch the movie of language, where watching a movie of a language, that is historical, diachronic or historical approach, right? So that is a little knowledge about synchronic and diachronic. But yeah, that is enough for writing short note on diachronic and synchronic approaches, right? Approaches for studying English language. So thank you so much. God bless you. If you have any question, you can put in comment box, right? Thank you.